It feels like we are in desperate need for constructive leadership. So we look to the book of Numbers, which we are moving our way through, and we find some really great negative examples, and maybe a really super wonderful positive one. So first there was Korach. He called Moses out on keeping the priestly power only in his family and not dispersing it among the other tribes. Korach could have called Moses in by acting with more curiosity. Instead, the text says, Korach took, vayikach Korach. That verb reflects a power grab in and of itself. Moses then reacted defensively, and God had to step in to defend Moses' humility. It doesn't end well for Korach when the earth swallowed him and his merry band of dissenters. Balak, king of Moab, saw. Vayar Balak ben Tzipor, all that the Israelites had done to the Amorites, et kol asher asa Yisrael la'Amori. The Moabites are not only alarmed with fear because of the numbers of the Israelites, but also abhor the Israelites, whom they don't really even know. And so Balak sought to curse the Israelites through Balaam the prophet. And again, God stepped in to turn it all into blessing. Then came Pinchas, the name of this week's portion. The Israelites do encounter the Moabites in a very intimate way, physically and spiritually. They commit to a god, Baal, not of their own. The people profaned themselves by consorting with the Moabite women, that's just a general term, who invited the people, the Israelites, to the sacrifices for their god. The people partook of them and worshiped that god. Now God's anger led Moses to seek to impale all involved. I won't offer a graphic description, but it is brutal. Pinchas, the son of the high priest Eleazar, takes the matter into his own hands, literally with a spear. Pinchas, son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, saw this. He left the assembly and taking a spear in his hand, vayikach romach biyado, he followed the Israelite man into the chamber and stabbed both of them. Vayidkor et shenehem, the Israelite man and the woman through the belly. Then the plague against the Israelite was checked. Oy. How do you think God responded? No stepping in. You won't be pleased. God attributed to Pinchas the act of turning back God's wrath and established a pact of friendship, et briti shalom. The scribes of the Torah would later add their own commentary of their distress of God's reaction by not making the Hebrew word shalom perfect. They took the Hebrew letter in shalom, the vav, which is calligraphed as a straight line, and they made it into two parts, signaling a broken piece with the two pieces. So Korach, Balak, Pinchas are all named specifically in the Torah. We not only know the details of their stories, but what else do they all share? They have portions named after them. What's with that? These are the guys who took without earning like Korach, who saw and did not investigate like Balak, and who pierced with the zealous intention of death like Pinchas. Each time God must clean up their mess. You can't forget them, even if their behavior is challenged and condemned. However, in this week's Torah portion, there are named others whose leadership takes a different form than what we have experienced in the Torah so far. As the Israelites prepared to enter the land, they began to consider who would possess which parcel. Inheritance through property would move from father to son. But what happened when there was no son? Cue the music. Enter our sheroes, the daughters of Zelophehad, whose name means without fear. They must assert themselves with their own voices of relationship and reason, for they had no power save for themselves. Their father had died. They were only daughters. From whence would their help come? Well, they are descendants from Joseph, that son of Jacob, who had to forge his own path through the depths of the pit to the authority of the Pharaoh. Benot Zelophehad, Ben Chefer, Ben Gilad, Ben Machir, Ben Menashe, Lemishpachot, the tribe of Menashe, Ben Yosef. We learn not only of their pedigree, we learn all of their names. There is no single actor in this story. Machla, Noah, Hogla, Milcah, V'tirza. Here, the verb associated with the action speaks of a productive method of engagement and leadership of what they did. Vatik Ravna, the daughters of Zelophehad, Machla, Noah, Hogla, Milcah, and Tirza drew near. These young women realized that they needed to act. They approached authority and asserted themselves in a way not familiar to the biblical culture and certainly not to the Israelite people as they made their way through the wilderness. The specific use of the verb tikravna, to draw closer, illuminates our understanding of their strength to approach Moses and God. But to whom did they first draw near? With one another. It was through their interconnectivity which gave them power to bring themselves closer to Moses and to God. They could not know how Moses would react, let alone God, to their assertion that their father's name is not lost just because he had no sons. And also, the core meaning of tikravna makes up the Hebrew word for sacred offering to the divine, korban. In bringing the strength of their bonds with each other, they invoked the presence of God into the process as well. To draw near means to expose their own vulnerability. And then they speak. Give us a holding among our father's kinsmen. They declare forcefully and clearly to Moses as a united front. Moses consults with God in a unique relational way not experienced before. God responds, Ken, yes, yes, their plea is just. The daughters of Zelophehad teach us the power of leadership that embraces others. All their names are there. The approach is through relationship, human and divine. This biblical tale is another reminder how we cannot change our destiny or our future alone. We need one another. Recognizing each person for the humanity and strength they or he or she bring allows each of us to assert a power together to secure justice and to draw near to one another with the sacred intention of guaranteeing a future beyond ourselves. Their model of leadership invokes sacred purpose, interdependent power, and selfless intention. That connection to one another guided them to seek what is right and just. It is a worthy leadership model we need in our world right now. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May justice be our desire.